Welcome back. In more local news updates, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves told supporters of the Unity Labour Party at their convention on Sunday, May 29, 2016, that he had intended to call fresh elections on February 15, 2016, but decided not to. The Prime Minister informed the gathering that he feels confident that he can rouse supporters for another effort and stated that he can call fresh elections any day. The convention was the first to be convened by the ULP since it returned to office for a fourth consecutive term following the general elections on December 9, 2015. The Prime Minister was the main speaker at the ULP's 22nd National Convention held at the Camden Park Secondary School. IKtv News Update has just learned that the lawyers representing NDP petitioners Ben Exeter and Lauren Batiste were informed in advance that the petition case would have been adjourned days before Friday. By law, the registrar has to publish notices prior to the hearing by the court. This was not done prior to today's anticipated hearing. However, Breadfruit News reported that the NDP knew in advance before calling on supporters to show up to protest outside the courthouse on Friday. At its rally last Wednesday evening, the NDP told supporters that Friday was an important day in the history of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and for democracy. The matter was officially adjourned to June 16, 2016. The government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines has entered into a contract with MAC Construction to rehabilitate the Ashton Learning Resource Center. The project will upgrade the Ashton Learning Resource Center to meet the emergency shelter standards of the National Emergency Management Organization. It forms part of the government's priority investments to reduce this country's physical and economic vulnerability to adverse natural events through building resilience to current and future climatic changes. The project is expected to commence this week and will last for 4 months. The funding is being provided by the World Bank under the Regional Disaster Vulnerability Reduction Project. The project is supporting SVG's efforts to prevent and adapt to the effects of climate change, strengthen hazard and risk evaluation, and improve decision-making. A 46-year-old man was shot to death in Brooklyn on Tuesday morning, according to police. It happened at the intersection of St. John's Place around 2 a.m. in Crown Heights. Witnesses tell News 12 they heard around 5 gunshots early the morning that woke them up. The victim is said to be born Vincentian Benedict Sam, formerly of Layu, who worked as a cab driver in Brooklyn. Police were also investigating a van close by that appeared to have damage to it. They said that the man was transported to Kings County Hospital and later was pronounced dead. Police say that he was shot in the chest. Minister Camilo Gonsalves has stated today in Parliament that the misquote of the oath of office by the Prime Minister and opposition leader has not in any way affected the law and that it does not change the Queen from the head of the state.
In politics, among one another, regionally, we talk a lot about democracy. But the idea of swearing a loyalty oath to a foreign, unelected, unconnected monarch is antithetical to the ideals of modern democracy. And we talk a lot, Mr. Speaker, about the future. But in order for us to embrace the future, we must first cast off the anachronistic vestiges of the past so that we can face that future with some degree of confidence. And we talk a lot about freedom and justice. But the cornerstones of freedom and justice have not historically been granted by benign rulers. They have been taken by people who hunger and thirst for freedom and to expand the parameters of their personal and collective freedom. They begin with a trust in oneself and require a structure, a legal structure, that no matter its common foundations, is adjusted and amended to look and sound and act like us and our own peculiar characteristics and realities. Mr. Speaker, we talk a lot about government and governance, but government and governance, first and foremost, must be responsive and responsible to the people and faithful to our constitutional principles and constitutional foundations. So, our oath and the we make when we first step into this honorable house should first and foremost be to the people that elected us to serve in this honorable house, and to the Constitution that protects the rights of those people, and to the country that we call home.
Minister Camilo Gonzalez, in reference to the monarch, said that in order for us to embrace the future, we must let go of the past.
It is one thing to be constrained by political realities or legal constraints or by sentiment, but it is quite another to be constrained by an unlocked gate and to remain in some form of figurative bondage because we are too timid or too lazy to walk out of an open gate. This law, easily amended by any one of us in this honorable house, collectively, is such an open gate. While it does not change legal relationships or constitutional relationships, it is an important step on our own journey of political maturity and self-worth. Mr. Speaker, this amendment roots us not in the UK, not in the past, but in our present and in our future and in the soil and in the skills and in the talents of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It is an act of us casting our lot with the Constitution, with the country, and with our great people. And I am convinced and fortified in the knowledge that if we cast our lot with our people, and we are first and foremost allied and responsive to our nation and our homegrown laws and our brothers and our sisters and our neighbors, the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines can achieve great things. And because of that, I think this bill is of greater significance than the simple words on the paper, and that it is an important step, however small, on our continued journey towards independence. I'm obliged.
Senator Julian Francis in Parliament today says that persons do not pay the garbage collection and that it is unfair. The senator stated that only 8% of persons in the Grenadines pays for the collection of their waste.
Presently, the CWSA presents a bill to the people in the Grenadines for garbage collection and disposal. When you don't pay your light bill, you disconnect the light. When you don't pay the water bill, you disconnect the water. When they don't pay the collection and disposal, you can't disconnect the garbage. You still have to collect it. So it is unfair that some persons will pay and the majority don't. Because from the presentation of the Honorable Prime Minister you would hear that only 8% of the person's bill have been paying their bills in for what is being billed now. Mr. Speaker, garbage collection and disposal. We spent significant amount of time when we just came to office to correct the situation that existed in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Not just the Grenadines.
Julian Francis added that while persons on the mainland pay their collection on their CWSA water bill, some persons in Bequia and other Grenadine islands do not pay for it on their CWSA bill. He went on to say that the collection will be paid through their VINLEC bill.
It is only fair that they ought to pay for the service. So if CWSA is currently sending out a bill, which they are, and it's not being paid, we have to come up with a different system to make sure that CWSA collects the funds. So it will be added on to the VINLEC bill for the property owners in Bequia. And if you don't pay, in other words, you can go and say to VINLEC, you can, if you want, accompany me light bill, but I am not paying the garbage disposal. Or you deliberately, if the bill is $50 for light and $10 for garbage, you go in and put $50. There's a $10 balance on your VINLEC bill still. And if that is not paid within a certain amount of time, which I believe is 2 months, they will come and disconnect your electricity, despite the fact that you have paid the electricity part of it. So this is just to facilitate the collection process. As PM says, CWSA does not run the water system in Bequia. It is run by individual property owners. Right now, we are dealing with garbage, and VINLEC will be the authority. I trust that the people of the Grenadines will understand. I hope this is not taken in the light of the implementation of a $1 charge at the port, and that others don't try to use that sort of example as to the intention here, because it is a totally different subject matter.
Beverly Reddock, a member of the SVG Diabetic Association, said often persons who are affected by diabetes have no idea that they are affected. She is appealing to Vincentians to conduct regular health checks. Ms. Reddock outlined a number of signs and symptoms of diabetes, such as frequent urination, blurred vision, recurring infection, a tingling or burning sensation in the feet, and the slow healing of wounds. Nika Anderson Isaacs from the Ministry of Health stated that non-communicable diseases are having a negative impact on the lives of Vincentians. Vincentians are urged to change their lifestyles and eating habits to have positive impacts on these diseases. Meanwhile, the St. James School of Medicine has organized a fun run this Saturday, June 4th at the Arnoldsville Sports Center to highlight the impacts that diabetes has on the population of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, Jeroni Richardson has your sports news.